Hello, today is World Cancer Day, and I do not think of it as a happy day. I mean, we would rather not have to speak about Cancer Day, World Cancer Day. However, it's especially maybe a drag for me because I feel that I am speaking about the same thing year after year after year. Can you believe that last year, it was 50 years that we had Nixon speaking about cancer and saying that he was launching the war on cancer. That was 50 years ago last year. And basically, we are at the same place. 1 man out of 2, 2 women out of 3 are going to be diagnosed with cancer in their lifetime. And according to the International Agency for Cancer Research, in 2012, there were about 14 million of new cancer cases worldwide. 2030, they are projecting 21 million, which is like 50% more. And in 2040, 27 million. So that's really staggering numbers. And when we are speaking of cancer death, unfortunately, the numbers are going in the same direction. 8 million about for 2012, projection of 13 million for 2030, so that's 60% more, and 16 million for 2040. So again, just this war on cancer that Nixon launched over 50 years ago now did not work. And the reason for the failure, well, there are many, but definitely one of them is that this approach focused on therapies, one, which were not selective, induced a lot of side effects, including sometimes some other cancer somewhere else. And then more recent drugs are more concerned about genetic mutation than a general cause of cancer. Or genetic mutations, that's about that induce cancer, that's about 4% of the population. So it is fair to say that 96% of the population is let down by the new drug developments. So nothing actually is done to address the real causes of this pandemic of cancer. The only thing that is done is for early diagnostic, which in my view is completely different from prevention. Early diagnostic addresses the problem early, but it does nothing about the causes. And early diagnostic can actually be part of the problem. Think, for example, a mammography. You have a perfectly healthy breast and you are going to radiate it year after year after year. Well, every year, of course, it is a small dosage of radiation, but the accumulation in the end that might be dangerous. And biopsy, for example, it is the same thing. You have a needle that goes on suspicious cells. Well, you know, if you damage a cancerous cells, it can easily spread as a result of the biopsy. And then you create a much bigger problem that as a result of this diagnostic procedure. So that actually has nothing to do with preventing cancer. The 10 main causes of cancer and that need to be addressed for cancer prevention are: 1, the alimentation. Western alimentation results from the war effort. It is absolutely not suitable for a civilian population that doesn't need to have a lot of calories in the slightest and the lightest volume as possible. It only raises diabetes and cancer. I mean, all the sugar, all the bad fat. I mean, this is absolutely terrible. If there is one thing that you now have to avoid, it is definitely the fast food alimentation. The second thing would be pollution. Rich and poor countries do not have the same kind of pollution, but they are both polluted. And this could be a topic by itself, but it is really important to understand that, acknowledge that, and try to avoid it as much as possible, although we cannot live in a balloon. The viruses, many viruses may induce cancer. All the discussion nowadays is about COVID, but there are a lot of other viruses that may induce cancer and need also to be eradicated as early as possible. There are a number of drugs also, including drugs given at the hospital to fight cancer that can induce other cancer. Drugs linked to autoimmune diseases also may induce cancer. Synthetic hormones may induce cancer. Lacassagne, the Professor Lacassagne, already in the 30s, wrote about the link between synthetic hormones and cancer, especially breast cancer. And nevertheless, you continue to see a lot of synthetic hormones flooding the markets. You have the endocrine disruptors like hydrocarbons, plastics, the synthetic molecules in cheap perfumes. All those, for example, are linked to hormonal cancer. You have the pesticides. Pesticides are everywhere. You should be concerned with them, even if you do not have a garden, because all conventional fruits and vegetables are covered with pesticides. And there are, for example, certain kinds of pesticides which are directly associated to pancreatic cancer, and that's just one kind of cancer, pancreatic cancer. But pesticides, absolutely different depending on the kind of pesticides, they can address different organs in the body and induce cancer. You have also the sun. We speak about that a lot this year because we at the Belzhansky Foundation, we do have a program now on melanoma, and there is also an increase numbers of melanoma cases. Avoid too much sun, avoid also chemical sunscreens, choose zinc oxide instead. There is the electromagnetic fields like microwave, telephones, cell phones, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi connection. The link again between those devices and cancer is now very well documented. Stress, of course, that can be the trigger, the emotional trigger that will be the one thing too many that will, if you are not in a healthy environment, is going to make you fall into the disease category. And then, of course, there are the genetic mutations, but that again concern less than 10% of the population. It's not because you are prone, to a genetic mutation that you definitely have to have cancer. It's not a malediction. If you do everything else right, you don't have to develop a cancer. So it is important to know those causes, the real causes of cancer, and do our best to limit our exposure. And it's also important to know that even in the best conditions, every day we are creating new cells. Our body is creating new cells. That's part of life. And as we create new cells, some of them are abnormal. But we do have our own police which is able to recognize those abnormal cells and destroy them. And that's a very normal process called apoptosis. But sometimes what happens is that the body gets tired, gets lazy, those causes, environmental causes go in the way, and it's not able to do this police effort appropriately. So then comes, to the rescue. Once again, my father's work one of the wonders of Mirko Beljanski's discoveries is that it can, some of his extracts can be used at every stage, including prevention, because, for example, Pao Pereira, being selective in its action, will go immediately to any abnormal cell whose DNA has been destabilized, selectively recognize those cells and selectively destroy those cells without any side effects to healthy cells. So if your body is not doing properly the police effort, it's good to know that Pao Pereira can help your body to destroy any abnormal cells that are lingering in the body. So I'm going to speak about that more at length in the upcoming event about cancer prevention. And I look very much forward to seeing you and take all the questions that you would like to send me between now and the event. So don't hesitate, send me some questions. I look forward to have the opportunity to answer any questions you might have. See you then.